You've likely seen ice fishermen and others who enjoy the winter weather starting to dot West Michigan's now frozen lakes and ponds.
But how do you know the stuff is stable and they're not, as the saying goes, on thin ice? 13 on your side's Charlie Tinker with information that could save your life.
We got some ice fishermen out here. We got an ice boat over here. Lots of people having some winter fun out of the elements, but it's so cold out here that your face just starts to feel pretty numb very quickly. It's not the situation where you want to fall through the ice and not be prepared ahead of time with the information and equipment that could save your life. We're here with Officer Troy Brown with the East Grand Rapids Department of Public Safety. Best guy to tell us all about this.
This time of year when guys are just getting out on the ice, really need to be careful when they first go out. They need to have an ice spud. They need to check for depth when they go out. It's never safe. Right. It's always a danger. Which is why it's so important, as you mentioned the spud, which is, you know, a stick that you would use to physically spot check the ice, correct? Yeah. Because it's not necessarily going to be consistent, right? Correct. Yeah, that's one of the things that you need to check as you go out, because sometimes there are low ice spots in the lake. That spud will go right through the ice. Probably time to back out. Something you should know ahead of time. I would hope so, yeah. Yeah, so obviously you mentioned the importance of communicating, you know, either with a phone that you've got on you, telling people, you know, where you're physically going to be, just in case, you know, God forbid, you do fall through the ice, you've got somebody who's looking out for you, right? Ideally, you have a partner. A common sense, we say, goes a long way. It really does. How long does it take until hypothermia theoretically kicks in? It's real quick. Hypothermia is going to kick in within minutes. It's one of those things that once it happens, it's hard to get it back. We recommend have ice spikes. They're basically like the little mittens that you used to have with your gloves, but in the end they have spikes. So if you happen to go in the water, you can at least get to the edge, ice spike the ice, and pull yourself out. But the other part is you need to get moving. Okay. Need to get into the heat. Obviously very key, because again, as you said, it's just minutes. So. Right. Well, Officer Troy Brown, thank you very much with the East Grand Rapids Department of Public Safety. We're going to send it back to Michael in the Weather Center. He's got some hard and fast numbers when it comes to ice thickness and exactly what you should know before you physically head out onto the ice. Michael?
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. Very good information there. And when it comes to the ice, it's always a bit more of an observation game than a game of here's the exact number where things will be safe at. But here's some categories to talk about when it comes to that ice. Ice that is 2 inches or less, avoid it completely. This is not going to be ice that'll support you or any activity you're looking to accomplish out there. Ice fishing, once you get to about 4 inches, should be good to go in most conditions, assuming the ice is, again, testing well with those spuds. Snowmobiles, ATVs, you want to get above 5-6 inches before you start taking those out. Cars, you need at least 8 to 12 before these become safe. And if you're taking a bigger truck out there, you want to be a foot plus in terms of the ice thickness before you take a truck out onto the ice. Now, again, it's not just the thickness. You also want to look at the quality of the ice. Clear ice with a bluish tint, that is the best quality ice, the strongest ice to support you or a vehicle. If the ice is milky, slushy, covered with some water, dark spots in it, cracks, these are things you want to avoid because it shows that the ice has been weakening. You should also use caution on windy days, especially in channels and over large lakes where ice flows could be possible that could take you away from shore and leave you stranded on a piece of ice. Another thing to look out for is that near shore ice, especially this time of the year. It's very dangerous, kind of precarious footing out there. You can see here this view from the Muskegon Channel, so those large crevices developing in the ice, something that could easily have you fall into and be in a situation where you don't want to be, something you want to avoid. And speaking of cracks in the ice, you also want to be aware for man-made cracks that could weaken the ice, things like icebreakers that may come throughout the season to help facilitate some shipping that would certainly weaken the ice in your area. Also keep in mind, ice fluctuates. Take a look at this graph here. You can see the yellow line representing ice so far this season. Up and down it goes. Just because something was safe yesterday doesn't mean it's going to be safe today. You always need to keep an eye out on those changing conditions and test the ice before every time you head out.